You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That is right, folks. We're back. And this is actually an end of an era for us on this one. This is going to be the final Ninth Doctor story of the new series that we're going to be talking about. We've reviewed all of them, but we had this one last one. We're talking all about Boomtown. That's right, folks. When Cardiff almost vanished into the air. Poof. And so, Wales would have been missing its most modern city. That's right. It would have been interesting, but this is, the Ninth Doctor, Rose, Jack, and whatever that other guy's name was that we're not talking about right now. So it's going to be interesting to talk about. We've got a great crew, of course, as always, to do it. Let's say howdy to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy, and welcome to the Boomtown.
Boomtown. Thank you. What was that, David and David? I think it was.
David and David. Yeah, I love them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what one-hit wonders of the 80s? You can find their best of on their on that CD.
That's just mean, man. Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Mean? Me? Never. I'm the sweetheart of the ESO network. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Hi, Mary.
First he's mean, then he has lies.
How are you doing, Mary?
I'm doing good. It is fantastic to be here.
And of course, Ms. Melanie Dean.
Hello, fellow Whovians. Let's talk some Who.
Let's talk Who, even though her brain is already in Japan.
Brain's all over the place right now.
Oh,
He's
course.
turning
Japanese.
When do you leave for Seattle?
Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
working
It's a
straight through.
It's a nice short
Japan.
flight for you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Well.
Non-stop, thankfully, so we're good.
You're good. That's good. Awesome. Glad to hear it. And it's glad to hear from the rest of you guys at home. If you want to write us, please, feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. We would definitely like to hear from you. And we've been actually hearing from quite a few folks. And we're actually lining up folks for the new season of Doctor Who, which is just 2 weeks away, folks.
Wow. Oh, God.
And it's almost frightening how quickly this is coming on us. And we might as well jump into Doctor Who news. We actually got a new trailer, and we got new titles for the season, and we actually even got a teaser that actually, for the first time, Doctor Who is it's jumping around and makes it look really thrilling for this season. And so, not that other seasons haven't been thrilling.
I was going to say, you sound like that's a shocker. Like,
For
it's
the
actually going to be
first
thrilling.
Yeah. No, it was almost, but the way they did it was, it just went pop, 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 pop. And it was just wow, this looks, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it should be noted too that the list of titles that I saw also had listed with the titles the writers behind those titles or those episodes, and of course, RTD is all over the place.
Of course,
again, but I think we were speculating, or there was word that Moffat was going to sleep in there a few times this season, and it does not appear.
There's no Moffat on there at all,
right? So I don't know if he's just talking about the next season after this one, or, wibbly wobbly, who knows what'll happen, but it's hard to believe that Moffat's gone for a good, but right now we have no evidence that he's going to be contributing in a major way to this coming season.
No, not at all. So I'll be very curious to see what they do. Come on, Mike, you didn't want to see another episode with Villain Guard as the bad guys?
I mean, I think we
How do you
still
know we're not
probably
going to
will.
see another
Yeah,
episode?
exactly.
I got a feeling that they're not going away.
Yep. We actually have titles. Episode 1 is going to be Robot Revolution. Episode 2 is going to be Lux. Then episode 3 is The Well.
The Well is the first one that has a different writer.
Yeah,
Than
RTD did
RTD.
the first 2.
But it is just RTD with Charme Angel Waffle.
Yeah.
So it's still RTD, but we do have someone else there too.
Okay, then we have Lucky Day.
By Pete McTeague?
Yes.
McTie.
McTie?
Yep.
Okay.
Then you have The Story and the Engine.
Inua Ellams?
The Interstellar Song Contest.
Juno Dawson.
Then you have Wish World, RTD. And the final is The Reality War. So they did
Still very much an RTD show.
Yep, it is. But the one thing I heard RTD say was that this is the first season that none of the stories are going to take on present day Earth, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So take it all with a grain of salt because, like most showrunners, RTD lies. So
yeah, and we are supposed to be getting appearances by Ruby, right?
Ruby and Unit. So
yeah, Ruby's in the trailer.
Yeah. So if they don't take place in current Earth, like what? How does
it could have?
Where is Unit?
They could have gone 5 years in the future, and she's helping running Unit or something like that.
I mean, yeah, we'll see, but
and it could be 6 months in the future. Earth. That's still not present day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a technicality, but it was interesting though. Still no sign of the Daleks at all. And, I think that's good.
I think he also said, and again, grain of salt, right? That the I can't remember the name of the woman now, the character, but the woman that the character is played by Brian May's wife. She's going to be in every episode, almost.
Interesting, because she's in present day Earth. Because what was it, Mrs. Flood?
Mrs. Flood, thank you.
Flood.
Yeah, Mrs. Flood is going to, or at least have a presence in every episode.
Right.
So, at least that's what Again, RTD lies.
Of course. But they did do a American Pass this last week of promoting Doctor Who on all the different talk shows, which was nice to see. And so, I'm looking forward to it. I think, I'm excited about the new season. Still nothing about a Christmas special or season 16 yet. But, I'm not going to be one of those doomsayers. I'm thinking that, they'll announce it like halfway through or something like that. They just want people to be excited for this new season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the important thing. Let's focus on this season, one season at a time.
Right. Well, exactly. They didn't even announce like one of Apple Plus's most popular shows, Severance, wasn't even, announced the next new season for season 3 until, the day of the final for season 2. So, and that's one of Apple Plus's biggest shows. It actually surpassed Ted Lasso for its most popular show. So I'm assuming that's what Disney's trying to do also. So
I'm not going to try to guess what Disney's going to do.
No.
I'm not in that game anymore.
No.
That way lies madness.
So fans of the classic series, we also got some good news that in the US, you're able to pre-order through Amazon.com The Savages, the next animated special. So we'll have that up on our schedule. I think right now it's due out in June. So, I pre-ordered mine. So please pre-order yours too. Not that
from the stills that they've shown, it looks like they are going back to more traditional animation than what we saw with the Celestial Toymaker.
Yeah.
Which
Thank God.
I'm fine with. It may not be perfect, but I really did not care for that style for
No.
the Celestial Toymaker.
The only
I'm
thing-
glad they're going back a little bit.
No, it looks good. And the only thing I don't like is Dodo and Steven. But that's okay.
Wait, you don't like them, or you don't like how they look?
Them.
Well, okay,
Well, they're part of the episode.
I was going to
so-
say that I don't know. Yeah, I don't think any sort of animation style is going to improve that.
No, doubt it. Highly, highly doubt it. So, and I know we got some Big Finish news. If you want to take over that one, Mikey.
Yeah, again, fans of Classic Who will be interested to know that we are going to get some adventures with some former companions. The further adventures of Smith and Sullivan will be making their debut on Big Finish, a new box set with, of course, that Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan. Now, obviously, the two actors that played those parts are no longer with us, but next best thing, Sadie Miller, Elizabeth Sladen's daughter, and Christopher Naylor, who I don't think has any relation to
Ian Martyr? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. But they've been playing those characters in Big Finish anyway. So now they are finally just sort of having adventures of their own. So that's pretty cool. And, Sadie's been a great supporter of the franchise and Big Finish and everything. Radio Times or Doctor Who Magazine, I think one of the two, just did a nice pictorial with her in some of her mother's more iconic poses, wearing some of the outfits and everything like that, which was really fun. Man, she can really favor her mother when she's dressed up like that. That's for sure. But she's been doing a great job as Sarah Jane Smith, so it's nice to see that. And I'm curious about these. So the Sarah Jane Smith adventures on Big Finish, I think, were pretty good. If I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've listened to them. I don't know if the same people are involved. Probably not, but I'm gonna be interested in this.
I'll be very curious to see what happens with that.
These are two companions that I did like.
Mhm.
Me too. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And you know what? I think we've got a lot of Doctor Who ahead of us. So you guys are stuck with us at home. It's awesome, as we like to say. And, to our friends out there who are just chomping at the bit for new Doctor Who, we will be coming weekly with you guys over the next couple weeks as the episodes come out, and we'll be, reviewing them and, be spoiling the hell out of them when we do. So, listen, a couple weeks out, or do it just whenever you can get a chance to listen to us, as we like to say. So please, 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 please. I don't beg that often, only every once in a while. Yeah. So, it's a good thing. All right. I think that is it for Doctor Who news. I think I covered everything that was on our list. And so guess what? It's Whovian Geek Seat time. And returning once again to the chair, Melanie Dean.
It's me again.
I know. She only has the scars only just starting to heal from the last time. See, she has Band-Aids on. So, yeah, she got an owie, as we used to say. An owie. All right, Melanie, you ready for your first question in the Geek Seat?
Absolutely not.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started.
Go for it.
Who was your first Doctor?
My first Doctor was Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor. My dad would watch, like many other people around my age, would watch it on PBS, and in La Florida, we saw the fourth Doctor all the time. So, and love the heck out of him.
Gotcha.
Were those packaged? Because I know different markets had different ways to package them. Were those? Were you watching those episodic, or were they grouped together, like as in mini movies or whatever they?
I
however they
think they were episodic. Because it's one of the few early memories I have watching it with my dad. So I was just a tiny Mel. But I do remember that when he regenerated, we went right back to the first one. So I never really watched the fifth Doctor.
I used
But
to
then
get,
again, my
I used to get so
so
frustrated by that because in DC they did the same thing. The only time they started showing new ones was at when they had people call in to pledge, and they said, if you pledge enough, we will show new episodes of Doctor Who.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you bastards. So I used to
We're all
yell.
too young. I have to save up our money.
Well, no, I used to just have it billed to my parents. So it's okay. My parents can afford $100, and they get this. Mike, what is, or actually, no, it was Michael Lawrence at that time. Because
All of a sudden,
when
a
I was in
tote
trouble,
bag.
they gave the first name, and if I was real big trouble, it was the middle name included. So
I'm sure they got a mug out of it, so that's
Exactly.
fine.
That or a Yanni CD live at the Acropolis. Probably got that.
They probably still have boxes of those.
oh, I'm sure. Which doctor would you like to travel with?
Ooh. I want to, you know what? I want to go with 9. I feel a little bit because my gut reaction would want to be 10. But I'm going to go with 9. I would feel a little bit safer. I don't think I'd be in as much
Just
peril.
don't get on his wrong side though, because he flies off the handle real quick.
No.
Okay.
I could deal with the bouncing.
Okay. Which doctor would you not like to travel with?
Oh, 6 because I don't want to be strangled.
The number one answer between
That's the
them.
yelling,
Always 6.
strangled, peril. Blah. No, I mean,
One of these days, somebody's going to say another number, and I'm going to be tickled pink.
otherwise I could say 5, but no, it's 6. It's. I'm so sorry, Colin, and I know you're so much better in Big Finish, but no, I still don't want to travel with you.
Well, there you go. There you go. What geeks you out the most about Doctor Who?
The effervescence of it. I really like how the stories are very out there and kinetic, and they're not grounded in reality in the nicest way I could possibly say, because I think that fun of fantasy and camp and all those other subgenres that you can have work beautifully in Doctor Who, and that it can do everything everywhere all at once. And that's very special in Doctor Who for me.
No, it totally makes sense, actually. It's very well said, even though you were hand waving and everything. So
I talk with my hands.
yes. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
The fans.
Number,
Gatekeeping.
That's
It's
what
like
everybody
any other thing. It's
says, too.
gatekeeping fans. It's gatekeeping fandom. It's gatekeeping, period. And it can, and even then, I don't want to say just the fans, because I mean, there's certain things from a production standpoint or anything that can be very gatekeepy that we've seen in across fandom. So it's gatekeeping. It's people who don't like or do not understand that there's a first time for everything for everyone. And because you might have been a fan since day one for you, day one for somebody else can be in the future because they haven't been born yet. And that they can, that we live in this neat time where we can go back and watch all these things, and all this stuff's kind of cyclical. So Lord knows we're getting new, Cushing's going to be re-released. I love the Cushing Doctor. More people are going to get to see that for the first time. So let everybody have fun in the sandbox.
no,
No gatekeeping.
totally makes sense. No, I agree with that. Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
Oh, this one's kind of difficult. We're gonna go with. I'm actually gonna go too. It would be Sarah Jane Smith and Harry Sullivan, because they really are one of my favorite team TARDISes.
Agreed.
That that TARDIS with the Fourth Doctor, we're just kind of talking about we're getting more Big Finish. I absolutely adored like Doctor Who Scratchman, the book, and listening to the audio was wonderful. I love the dichotomy between the characters and those two companions in particular. Really, really, really liked, and I really wish we had more Harry Sullivan. So mostly Harry, and then we'll add and absolutely Sarah Jane.
No, totally makes sense. Which Doctor Who villain would you not like to meet?
Missy as the master. Any master really, but Missy the most because I'll be cyber zapped, what have you, with her little remote thing she had when we first were introduced with her. Yeah, Missy. We're gonna go with Missy because she would genuinely scare me.
Okay.
Love her to pieces, but no thanks. Pass.
Okay. What was your favorite Doctor Who Geek Out moment?
I went to San Diego Comic-Con and I saw Moffat and his wife Sue in a hallway, and I got a photo with Sue because Moffat was kind of everyone was going to him, and I was like, wait, this is an amazing female producer, and and I went right to her, and I got to be really geeky and got my photo with her and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's my little, oh my God, I know who you are. I don't know how these people don't realize who you are, but yeah.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I know. I was like, oh my, yeah.
Okay.
That I full on fangirled because I was not expecting to see her and see all the work that she did behind the scenes and for everything that, I mean, unless the one thing I did kind of say to her was one thing great producers don't get is kind of recognition because you did your job. No one talks about you. But if you don't do your job, everybody will talk about you.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And no one really talked about her like in that, again, in a bad way. So love her to pieces. That was my absolute geek out moment.
What was your most disappointing geek out moment with Doctor Who?
Oh, I don't know if I have one. I know that you're gonna have to edit this because I'm gonna have a lot of dead air right here and vamping for no reason. But no, I would just say disappointment would be kind of tying into the gatekeeping of when a new doctor comes out and it's like Old Faithful. We know what's gonna happen. A doctor goes away and everyone's sad, and the new doctor's announced, and then everyone hates the new doctor, and then the new doctor it's this thing that just always happens in Who, and people forget that always happens. So it's that goldfish memory that some fans have, maybe, is the most disappointing thing. It's guys, we've gone through this again. We gotta, they gotta get their snaps. They've got to understand what they're doing and blah, 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 blah.
I think a few years ago we posted on the Facebook group, The Circle of Life of a Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And literally.
Hate him, love him, love him, love him. Oh, don't go. I hate you.
Yeah, exactly.
Certain stages of grief.
Oh, exactly.
Showrunner, companion, doctor. Yeah, the circle is the same.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for your final question in the Geek Seat?
Yes, please.
Ready for what or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
I want to see more practical effects in Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who does extremely well, with practical makeup and practical effects. I mean, we saw make nurses and people that look like cats, and they did it amazingly. As we'll go into this particular episode of Boomtown, I thought the Sladine kind of emoted when she was in the restroom and having her heart-to-heart. And that was a puppet. I want to see more practical effects because CG, while beautiful and it enhances, when you do too much of it, it will put its own little beautiful timestamp on it. So I want more practical effects. And I believe that they are doing that, which makes me absolutely elated, but more practical effects.
Yeah, agreed. That is awesome. Can't wait to see more spaceships with strings on it and flying across.
And I'm good with that.
And the
I'm good
zippers
with
on the
it.
back. It's awesome.
Be creative.
Exactly. You could CGI the string out. That's it. There you go. Well, Melanie, I got some great news for you. You've made it through the Geek Seat. Congratulations.
Huzzah!
Mr. Mike Gordon,
Huzzah!
what did the young lady
Huzzah!
win?
She has won a trip of a lifetime.
We're not paying for it. She just won it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's going there anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going there anyway, so it kind of works out.
Exactly.
Timing was beautiful.
Exactly. So awesome. Well, folks, if you want to take a shot at the Geek Seat and actually sit in with us, please write us feedback@earthstationwho.com. Best way to get in touch with us, and we'd love to have you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with Boomtown.
Winter is coming. Prepare with a fine cigar and listen to the Cigar Nerds podcast. We smoke cigars and talk about movies and all kind of nerdy things. Available at cigarnerdpodcast.com. Also on the ESO network at esonetwork.com.
Welcome back, and we are going back now 20 years to June 4th, 2005. God, 20 years, folks. This is just amazing. I can't believe it. But we had Boomtown featuring, of course, Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor, Billy Piper as Rose Tyler, John Barrowman as Jack Harkness, Noel Clark as Mickey Smith. And we also had Annette Badland as Margaret Blaine. And
you didn't say her Slovene name.
No, I was not going to.
Long.
It was interesting because I had forgotten she was in this, and Judy was watching with me, and and it was like, wait a minute, she's from Ted Lasso, So
she's been in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Midsummer Murders.
Oh, she's been in tons.
Father Brown.
She's wonderful in whatever she does. And
yeah, she's great.
And I'm hoping now that they've announced Ted Lasso season 4, we're going to get even more of her. So
I think I can honestly say she's the best thing in this.
Yes. I actually enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it more than I remembered enjoying this one. So let's go ahead and get initial thoughts for this. Let's start with Mary this time.
It's interesting. This is one of the episodes that I remember liking. And I mean, I don't dislike it, but it didn't hit me in the same way as it did the first time around. Maybe that's because I'm more jaded. I don't know. But I just thought, initially the whole interaction, and actually still these scenes are really good between her and the doctor. There's a lot of it's just sizzling what's going on, them trying to outwit each other, and that's fascinating to watch, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh, that scene in the restaurant between the two.
Yes, that is a great scene.
That's the highlight.
Yeah.
That is the best scene of the whole, maybe one of the best scenes of the season, because just the way they interact with each other. Yeah, I love that. But I seem to recall it going more in depth in the ethics of sending somebody to their death, even though they themselves are murderers, and what that really means and what that really means for the doctor. And they do go into it, but they don't go into it as deeply as I thought they did. So I would have liked to have spent a little more time delving into that rather than wasting scenes on Mickey running around, frankly, which didn't even need to be there. But overall, I still like this episode. I think it's a decent episode.
Totally makes sense. Mel.
I absolutely adored this episode. This was when I first watched it. I remember this being like one of my favorite episodes, and to me, this is like in my top 5 of like Doctor Who. Um, Mostly because of that table scene. I love the scene between them at dinner. Um, and for me, it was a complete 180 when I first tried getting into New Who. I couldn't get past the farting Slitheen. I couldn't get past the farting aliens. I was just like, this is too campy for me. I'm not getting into it, blah, blah, blah. And then, a lot of my friends were telling me, no, try it again, try to push through this. And then being able to get this far into the series and then seeing Margaret come back, and I'm kind of in my head going, oh God, I'm not like this, and realizing just how much I just adore Annette in this. And that again, that the table scene on it, it starts off campy a little bit with the, oh, well, did you know that I can shoot, a poison dart out of my finger, and he just catches it. And then the same thing with the slapsticky thing with the poison breath. It starts there, but then you
I
realize
love
all their
that.
cards, um, it's you realize that once all the cards are off the table and the lighting gets a little darker, the camera moves a lot more dramatically. And even when they're going back and forth about, the executioner and the killer, blah, blah, blah. But then when she susses out that only a killer would know that, the camera is there, it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at pore level,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just seeing all these micro emotions, these little tiny nuances, both from Annette and from Christopher. And it's just, to me, it's just a masterpiece in acting. It's just so good.
His whole expression changed on that scene. It was just,
it's just so much in the
yeah.
eyes. I mean, just wonderful. And I think it's very well balanced, having fun with Jack. Yes, we see Ricky the idiot. Watching it again, I did get a little bit more understanding between Rose and Mickey, and are you really dating? Are you not dating? Are you in this relationship because you're supposed to be? This is what you're supposed to do within your class and your kid. You're both out of school. Da, 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 da. I kind of watched it a little bit more. It wasn't as cringy. But really the show-stopping whole thing is when they cut back and it's the Doctor and Badland. It's just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Okay. Mikey.
I'm going to try to be kind for Mel's sake.
Go for it.
I do not care for this one. And on
Was it because of no?
Well, on second viewing, because I think that I've maybe watched this. Maybe this might be the third or fourth time I've seen it, really, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But it really doesn't. It doesn't really do anything. It's kind of in the middle, like it's a wrap up to one storyline, and it's the calm, I guess, before the 2-part finale. So it just kind of is there. The storyline with the riff and all that is just there, I think, to spin off Torchwood. The interplay between the characters, I wish I could say that time has been kind, but it is not. Due to a lot of things off screen, I just find it difficult to watch these people as characters. And that goes for all 4 of them, really. Now, yeah, I'll pick, we can, easily spot Noel Clarke and say he's garbage. And anytime he's on screen, I just want to just throw something at the TV. But really, even before all that stuff came out about Noel Clarke, I never liked Mickey. I never cared for him as a character. Never believed that he was actually a real character, a real person. Everything that he did and represented just was annoying to me. And so that has not obviously improved at all. It is kind of fun to watch Barrowman and Eccleston and Piper kind of do the Team TARDIS thing a little bit, but we don't get, outside of a few hand clapping scenes where they're just sort of on sync, it doesn't really add anything. You get these. I mentioned last week when we were talking about how awkward it is that the doctor seems to, Amy has to make a choice, right? And then during that TARDIS group, and it seemed odd to me that the doctor seemed to be making Amy's choice difficult, which I didn't figure out. I mean, I didn't really understand that. We see that here too. There are shots of the Ninth Doctor sort of looking at Rose like longingly, as if like, and it's just, I'm like, is that supposed to be there? Like, it just seems kind of weird knowing what's going to happen. So, and knowing where some of these characters end up too, I didn't really care for now, I will admit that it's nice seeing the character of, well, I wouldn't say it's great seeing the character of Margaret Blaine again, because I'm not a fan of Slovene either. But the actress is, as we talked about, solid, and that scene in the restaurant is great. It is the highlight of this, but the rest of it, I could just leave. I'd never watch this again. I mean, it just doesn't. Nothing else. Everything about charging up the TARDIS to, showing us the eye of the TARDIS, and even though and that's certainly the heart of the TARDIS rather. And I know that's going to come into play at the end, and it's just set up for that.
It's foreshadowing.
It just
really is.
It's not. Yeah, but it's clunky, and it just doesn't. You should do it so that it means something, and it doesn't mean anything here. I will say another good thing about this episode that I do appreciate is I was lucky enough to in 1989 visit Cardiff. So, but it was before they got they made it nice. Like a lot of the stuff that's in this. I mean, this Cardiff looks gorgeous in this setup here, and but yet I still feel like a connection with Cardiff because I was there, and it was nice to see Cardiff represented as Cardiff. I mean, we would see that later with Torchwood, of course, but this is the first time in Doctor Who, even though they shot there for this whole season, series 1, this is the first time we really get to see Cardiff as Cardiff, which was kind of nice.
It was.
So I did like that element
of it though, with it, because it was funny because it's like, oh, there's only one restaurant on the whole waterfront that they just kept on going back to. And so, weren't there pubs? Weren't there other places that they can go for? They just kept on going to that one place. I think that's where they probably had permission to film or something.
I mean, it didn't matter to me. Right. That's not a knock against, that's not anything I have against it. But the rest of it just, I could do without. So
it was,
I don't love this one a lot at all.
See, for me, I actually do enjoy this one. It was a fun watch, and I love the chemistry between Jack, Rose, and the Doctor in this. Mickey, is like a throw on, but I liked, the team feel for it. I like how well Jack and the Doctor were working together, and Rose was helping out, and I thought I was actually excited because I liked the three dynamic for that. And I did think it was well. I liked, that they were trying to see, the Slovene are just an evil family. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of the planet that they're from. So, and kudos to anyone who does do that. The character,
they got paid to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But
we're not paying you.
Raxacorico fallipatorius.
Yeah, there you go. Say it 10 times fast.
Fallipatorius.
Yeah.
Raxacorico fallipatorius.
There you go.
Raxacorico fallipatorius. Okay. We're learning it. Ha!
Exactly. The character of Margaret, I enjoyed it because, I didn't like the farting alien story, but it was a nice follow-up to it. And I like, she didn't change her colors throughout the whole story, even when she felt sorry for the reporter, type thing. Because, she basically was going to just bust down that door and slice her in half. or whatever. No, she wasn't good, but I did like,
She was going to kill her anyway. She was going to kill everybody on the planet. Like, I don't
exactly.
know why she was,
Yeah.
she was feeling sorry for her at that moment. Like, oh, I'm going to
kill
spare her.
I'm going to spare her for a day or two, literally.
I know.
So,
And that's a sociopath for you. They just randomly, some people they let go.
mhm.
This happens, with serial killers.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll just there's always a couple that they just sort of randomly let go. And maybe that's how they convince themselves in their mind that they're not as evil as they are.
Well, so we're told in the episode, but the fact is, like, none of these people are being let go. She's going to kill them all. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, but
what she's devising, the whole
she doesn't-
planet is going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is her justification. I didn't say it was reality.
No,
It's just her
exactly.
justification.
It was her justification. I love the scene when she kept on teleporting out of there and the doctor just held up the screwdriver. And he says, I'm getting really good at this, with the teleport.
Yeah, I mean, poor Annette had to run in those heels back and forth, God knows how many times.
Yeah, that was funny. I did like that scene.
That was fun. And it was interesting. And I loved that her assistant was trying to stop the doctor from following her out the window. I like that. She's climbing out the window now, isn't she? Yep, she sure is. And there was those little moments. And the scene in the restaurant between, Margaret and the doctor. The doctor was fully prepared with whatever she could do until the moment she brought up, only a killer would, be able to do something like this. And, that threw him off, but everything else didn't. He had his nose in the menu and he just held out his hand and caught the thing from her finger, and it was just really, really well done. And, would I recommend this as a first episode for somebody to watch Doctor Who? No, not at all. I would, but then you're only 8 episodes into the series at this point. So, just go back a couple episodes, start at the beginning, because it is a great season. And this showed me how much they could have done with Chris if he would have continued in the role. And, I would have loved to seen that.
Luckily, you do not have to watch the farting alien episodes
To see
in order to watch this one.
Not at all.
No, I can't say I would recommend that either.
No. And so I thought it was, overall, I thought it was a great thing. And, the whole thing with the TARDIS needing to refill itself with the time rift, that was stupid and everything. But,
yeah, that was an excuse.
Cardiff looked.
I love how much Jack is a TARDIS mechanic.
Yeah.
Because he's like spending so much time in there tinkering.
Exactly. I shut it off. And it's like, yeah, whatever, Jack. You don't shut anything off, my friend. But it was, Cardiff never looked better. Cardiff looked great in this episode, and it was a great postcard for it. And the whole time I kept on saying, hey, Jack, get used to this place. You're going to be here real soon. Well, for him, a couple 100 years, but eventually he'll get there. So, but yeah.
He's already there.
Exactly, technically. So.
Yeah, he was already there. And in fact, I think they mentioned, they played with that. The fact that he had to make sure that he didn't interfere when everything was happening. He had to make sure that he and his team didn't interfere with anything because it would have messed up the timeline.
Interesting. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't did this, further on the story of, the season. Not really. They played with the bad wolf a little bit. And, which was
the first time they realized that bad wolf was a thing.
It was following them.
It was following them.
Yeah, I mean, they actually acknowledged it. They were like, "Hey, we've heard this before. This is weird." And then the doctor just said it's coincidence, which we know he doesn't believe in. So
no, exactly.
But yeah, it was the first time that they actually acknowledged that that bad wolf was a thing, which just in time for the finale. So that's
right, exactly. And this is only Jack's 3rd episode, because the episode before this was the Doctor Dances, and Jack was introduced in The Empty Child. So,
that's a great 2-parter.
Yeah. And, like I said, earlier, this was just a great run of episodes. This whole season overall worked really, really well. And so, I think we got some good stuff going. And, I wish, and I'm going to say this, if we could have had Rose, the Doctor, and Jack together for more episodes, I would have been fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
And everything.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That would have been fun.
Yes. So
Yeah, they made a good team.
Yeah. I'm going to be curious when we go ahead and rate this because, are we going to see the Noel Clark effect in the rating, of us? Is it going to pull it down at all? Because, the whole time I was watching this, I was like, Mickey, or going, that bastard, and there were times, when he was mad at Rose and he actually looked downright evil. And it's like, boy, I wonder if that was just his natural look at times and such.
Yeah, I was actually wondering while I was watching it because I don't think I've seen it since all that came out.
No, I haven't either.
And so I really wondered how much is this coloring my perception of it because I didn't like it. I still liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I used to.
Right.
And I was like, it's really hard to watch this and not think about that connection to the actor.
Does it, but then same question, does it hurt you with Barrowman?
I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's different.
We've talked about this on air and off air, but, the situations between them are different, and I don't want to try to compare them in that way. But I will say, for me personally, yes, when I first see it and I see them, I'm kind of like off put. By the time, we're in the story, I'm engaged in the story. I mean, is it the back of my head screaming a little bit, maybe at something or the other? But really, like I said, before this even came out with Noel Clark, like right when I was watching these from the beginning, I didn't like Mickey. I didn't like him at all. And stuff like this was a large part of the reason why is that his character gave me nothing to appreciate. Even if I could sort of put myself in that position where it's like my girlfriend is going off with some dude and doesn't really give a crap about me and all that kind of stuff. I should sympathize with that, but instead I just don't. Like his reaction is just so, I think, poorly written. I think RTD just really misses the point here, and I'll say this: maybe also, a better actor could have like made that stuff better, but he just wasn't up to that task. But in any case, the scenes with this, like, we talked about the scene with Eccleston and I'm forgetting the actress name, but in the diner or in the restaurant, right? That's
Margaret.
Being a highlight.
Yeah.
That scene between Piper and Clark is terrible. Like, it is awful. It's one of like the worst scenes, I think. It's just, I don't believe it. I don't believe there's any connection. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm not feeling it with them. And I think Piper's really good as an actress. She has moments in this that I really like, but there's just, to me, it's painful to watch.
Yeah.
I think this episode should have been, because I'm not the biggest Mickey fan, irrespective of or regardless of Noel Clark. Knowing knowing the monster that he is. I was just never a big Mickey fan, period. And I felt like this would have been the perfect episode of, okay, that relationship is clearly done. It's over. It was young. It gone, especially with the way it is shot, that even when they went to the diner first in the afternoon, she's not sitting next to him. Rose is sitting next to Jack and across. So they're the catty corner. So I'm like, and then you have the whole scenes of everything where it's like, this isn't really working out, blah, blah, blah. And then when everything hits the fan, she goes running and he sees, okay, she just took off, for the doctor. And with him just kind of watching her at the very end and then walking away, I kind of thought that this was, okay, this is a good episode of saying if Mickey never showed up from this point on,
we should be
it would
so
make
lucky.
sense.
It would be fine.
So I'm even more not particularly with this episode, because it showed me, okay, these two didn't have any chemistry anymore. There wasn't really anything there. They were just spinning the wheel. Okay, fine. Why Mickey shows back up in the next from this point on? I'll get my megaphone, get my little Apple box, start shouting.
That's what I really don't understand either. That I'm sorry, Mary, but I don't understand why RTD just kept doubling down. Like, we see more of Mickey next season, and it doesn't. I don't think it helps at all. And then we see him, with Martha, and then it's just like, why RTD? Why are you doing
that? Came out of nowhere.
That
just
so
came out of
stupid.
nowhere.
That was
just was like, that was. I mean,
people actually were
usually,
like,
I usually like RTD's decisions, but in that case, he was just, I don't know what
it just came out of left field.
It came out of left field, and could we get any more racist? Oh, put the black person with the black person.
Yeah. It was
terrible.
Not a good decision.
Yeah. No.
Though I do think, I feel like I'm looking at this relationship, the relationship between Mickey and Rose, from a jaded perspective. I mean, even 20 years ago when I was 40, as opposed to how I might have looked at it 20 years before that when I was 20, when it would have seemed more like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. I'm losing my girlfriend or boyfriend, because that's how it feels when you're, like 19 or 20 and it's your first relationship, and all of a sudden, and you're comfortable in it, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I mean, and this happens to almost everybody. The percentage of high school sweethearts lasting is pretty small.
Oh, very much so. Very, very much so.
So, I mean, I could kind of see it more from that perspective, and having a little more sympathy for the Mickey character than I watched it in reality at my advanced age, where I was like, oh, get over it. You're going to be with somebody else in the next 2 minutes, because that's how it works when you're that age.
Yeah.
And it's not going to matter at all, most likely. But of course, it seems like the most horrible thing that ever happened to you in the world when you're that age. However, I will say, even looking at it from that perspective, they do not portray it well. It is not written well.
No, I don't. Nothing you say I disagree with. You're completely right with that. And, and because I think Rose is only supposed to be 19, and he's maybe a year older than her at the most.
Yeah.
And so, at that age, oh, my heart's broken. That was my true love. Oh, hi, who are you? Type thing.
Yeah.
You're barely adults, and you just got out of you're still kids.
Yeah.
You're not even, to me, the 25 is when you finally, the brain starts going, oh, wait, I'm an adult now.
Not even at 25. Yeah.
I know.
I'm in my 50s.
Not even at 45.
I haven't hit that part yet.
This is new territory for Doctor Who, because, Russell is the first one to really dive into personal lives of the companions in this way. And, whereas I think, some of the attachments are interesting. This one is not. This one is just not. And it never was. And I don't know, I kind of feel like RTD knows that he missed it, and that's why he kept doubling down, because he kept
trying to fix it.
Yeah, I think the writer in him was like, I can fix this. I can fix this. I can fix this. And it just,
no,
there was no fix.
No, it's a toxic relationship. You can't fix him, RTD. Let him go.
Yeah, exactly.
Let it just fizzle out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're completely right. I agree with that. All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and reveal
one last thing that I thought was a neat bit of trivia is that in the episode, Rose refers to an adventure on the planet Justicia, or something like that.
Yeah.
Justicia, which is a reference to a novel, The Monsters Inside, which made it the first time the television series ever acknowledged any of the spinoff material. So I thought that was pretty kind of cool. So
yep, I think that's pretty awesome. All right. 1 out of 5 TARDISes. We're going to start rating this, folks. Mr. Gordon, you were so positive about this one. I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to give it a 2. I don't ever care to see this one again. Yeah. So I'm sad that we're losing, that our run on the Eccleston reviews on this podcast is now at an end. It took us like over 10 years to review all these 8 episodes or whatever it is, right? But no, 13, right? 13
Yes,
episodes.
13.
Maybe we did one a year or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, as you said, I think the Eccleston season overall is an amazing season. But it does, like, this is, I think, the lowest point for me. And that's, there may be a couple of cool scenes in here, one or two, but overall, I probably will never revisit this again.
Okay.
But I still love the song
There you
by
go.
David and David.
And you can get that MP3 at the Apple Store or at the Amazon shop. So there you go. All right, Melanie.
And a completely self-serving, biased opinion, 4.5. I absolutely adore this episode.
Okay. Mary.
I'm going to give it a 3.5. I feel like just the restaurant scene alone makes it above average. But it's, there's some good stuff in here. And is it perfect? No. Are there lots of flaws? Yes. But it's still a really interesting episode to watch. There's a lot of heavy questions that are examined. The acting is great. And, overall, I enjoyed it. So I think a 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to do a solid 4 on this one.
I think we covered all the bases here.
I think we did.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! I actually was going to do a 4.5 going into it because I did like this from remembering watching it. But the Noel Clark effect actually pulled it down for me. And just knowing what kind of scumbag he is and knowing what kind of waste of a character Mickey was, it's, like I said earlier in this episode, there's so many good things about this one. I loved the characterization of Team TARDIS. I thought for me, this is close in the newest series. I think this was the closest to my favorite Team TARDIS of the 3, with 3 companions. And, I thought...
Wow, and you're not even a big Rose fan.
I know. Well...
but Rose with 9 is entirely different.
Rose with 9 is completely different than Rose with 10 and everything. To me, that's 2 different characters. So I really enjoyed this. And I thought, there was some greatness from this. And the scene in the restaurant between, the Doctor and Margaret, I just thought literally was one of my favorite scenes that whole season. And does it make up for the farting aliens in World War III? And no, not at all. But do I like it? Yeah, because you only saw the Slovene at least only, in 2 scenes at the very beginning, and they weren't even long scenes. So, I'm glad they kept her in the Margaret form at least. So, or, but I could have done without seeing the Margaret skin on the floor at the end of the episode, and he fished the egg out of her,
Yep. That was a good touch.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, okay, that I did not need to see. But you know what? It was cool, and it did a lot of foreshadowing for the next 2 stories. So, which was pretty cool. And it would have been great in the next, the next episode, where they show it next on Doctor Who, if they didn't show the Daleks and would have left.
I noticed that. I was like, wow, that's kind of like playing that. But I guess we'd already seen the Dalek, Dalek earlier, so we'd already, so you couldn't really say that was their first appearance back.
No, but
and I'm sure they used it to hype up the finale. So.
No, I know, but it would have been great if they would have just kept it at you thinking that the TARDIS crew was on the reality shows. enter anything.
Yeah, I think that would have been.
I thought that would have
because
been
during
really
the
good.
story, that's the big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly,
weird.
because what the very first scene you see is the doctor on Big Brother, and so it's such a great thing, and you get to meet Linda with a Y. It's the companion that could have been. So
Yep.
it was awesome. So, but yeah, really good stuff, folks. Definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Please write us in feedback@earthstationwho.com. Definitely let us know what you guys thought. We got a lot going on. 2 weeks, folks. We're going to be in the thick of new Doctor Who. And like we said earlier, if you want to join us for one of the episodes, please drop us a line. If you've been on the show before, or if you've never been on the show, this is your chance. We definitely would love to get some new, fresh faces on. But until then, we'll have Dave Chapman instead on the next episode. So, it'll be good to have him sitting in with us. Let's thank our regulars for being here, of course. Ms. Melanie Dean, thank you as always.
Thank you as always. Love always being here.
Jealous of your trip to Seattle and then off to Japan.
Yep.
Yes, the force will be strong with her there. So I think it'll be an awesome time. And, we better see, swag coming our way after that,
Oh, how dare. Ooh, well, I can hopefully get Mary some swag from Seattle because I'll be attending the National Art Materials Association. They're huge creativation. So if you need anything, Mary, let me know.
That is awesome.
Or if even everybody wants anything, let me know.
Now I am.
Then I'm
I am
going to Star Wars Celebration.
And how can people
I'm so
follow you
jealous.
on
You
so they
on
can see about your
Instagram
trip?
mostly? I live there. You can find me at Pieces of Melee. That would be my own personal art. Otherwise, my work, which is stained glass in the stained glass industry, is Diamond Tech Crafts with an S.
Nice. And Mr. Mike Gordon, we're going to be at a con together this weekend.
We are. We're going to be at SC Comic Con in Greenville. It's going to be a great time. There's a lot of great guests. I don't think there's anybody Doctor Who related, but there's a lot of great guests.
A lot of Star Trek guests this year.
There are some Star Trek, some Star Wars guests as well.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel guests, and of course, comic people, which I'm always excited by. So, it's going to be a fun time. It's always a great time. So if you're in the area, I'll be, Peter and I will be at table 225, and I understand that you are right next door.
I'm going to be sitting right next to you, heckling you the whole time. I can't wait. I'm going to be at table 324. So, we're going to be neighbors. So
yeah, they don't sound like they're close together. They sound like they're like a whole 100 apart, but it's actually right
next to each other. So we'll be throwing candy and stuff right across at each other. It'll be perfect. So it'll be cool. And Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Well, thank you guys. It's always wonderful to talk to you.
Wish you were coming with this weekend.
Yeah, me too. Boy, it would help to get my mind off some things that have been going on. So yeah, but I'll be thinking about you guys. Send lots of pictures.
Oh, we always do. How can people find you and your work?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. My other shows I am working on right now, Tales from Hollywoodland. We just put out an episode. We're talking all about actor Steve McQueen, the King of Cool, and very cool stuff. And then over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, we are talking to actress and director Lee Grant, who is going in October, will be celebrating her 100th birthday.
Wow.
And she is still so with it. And she was awesome to talk to. So definitely check them out. You can find them wherever fine podcasts are found. And speaking of fine podcasts, we will be back again in 2 weeks. And new Doctor Who, I am thrilled. I am excited. And you know what? It's always a good Saturday when you could sit around and watch Doctor Who with your friends. So definitely, you're all my friends. We're going to be watching it. And even if we're not physically together, spiritually we will. Until then, on behalf of Mary, Melanie, and Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time on Earth Station Who. Peace, and we are done. Boom.
Bring on New Who.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.